Brihadaranyaka Upanishads. Brihadaranyaka Upanishads. There is a text so ancient it has no certain author, no verified manuscript, no fixed date of composition, and yet it speaks with the force of something that could only have been written once. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the great forest teaching, belongs to the Shukla Yajurveda tradition and is thought to have taken shape somewhere around the 8th century before the Common Era, during a period of profound intellectual upheaval in ancient India. The ritual world that had sustained civilization for 1,000 years was beginning to crack open, and from that crack came a question that has never stopped reverberating. What exactly is the self? A figure named Yajnavalkya stands near the center of this text, sage, debater, husband, teacher, and through his encounters with kings and scholars and his own beloved wife, the Brihadaranyaka works toward a single recognition so simple and so devastating that the rest of the text exists only to prepare you for it. Here now is the great forest itself. The Great Forest. Book 1, The Cosmic Horse. Canto 1, The Body of the Dawns. Verse 1, look at the dawn. The dawn is the head of the sacrificial horse. The sun is his eye. The wind is his breath. The open sky is his open mouth. The year is the body of the horse. The heaven is his back. The air is his belly. The earth is his hoof. The stars are his bones. The clouds are his flesh. When he yawns, it is the lightning. When he shakes himself, it is the thunder. His neighing is the word. This horse is the universe. He who knows this horse kills the world to find the king. Verse 2, in the beginning there was nothing. The world was covered by death, by hunger. Hunger is death. He thought, let me have a self. He moved about, worshipping. From his worship, water was born. He spent himself. He divided himself. He made the fire, the sun, and the air. He is the king of the three worlds. Canto 2, The War of the Breaths. Verse 3, once the spirits and the goblins fought. The spirits said, let us overcome the goblins with the high chant. They asked the speech to sing. The goblins touched the speech with evil. That is why we speak the lie. They asked the eye, the ear, and the mind. The goblins touched them all. That is why the eye sees the foul and the mind thinks the wicked. Verse 4, then they asked the breath in the mouth to sing. The goblins rushed in to touch it. But as a clod of earth is shattered when it hits a solid rock, the goblins were shattered. The breath in the mouth is the only one who is not tainted. It is the Ayasya, the one who comes from the mouth. It is the Angiras, the essence of the limbs. He who knows this breath eats his food in peace, for he is the king of his own house. Canto 3, The Birth of the World. Verse 5, in the beginning this world was only the self, in the shape of a person. He looked around and saw nothing but himself. He said, I am. Therefore his name is I. Even now, when a man is asked who is there, he says first it is I, and then gives his other name. Verse 6, he was afraid, for he who is alone is always afraid. But then he thought, since there is nothing but me, what am I afraid of? Then his fear vanished. But he found no joy, for he who is alone has no joy. He desired a second. He grew as large as a man and woman embracing. He split himself into two. From that the husband and the wife were born. Therefore the sage Yajnavalkya says, the body is like half a shell. The space is filled by the woman. Verse 7, the woman thought, how can he lie with me, having produced me from himself? I will hide. She became a cow. He became a bull. From them the cattle were born. she became a mare. He became a stallion. From them the horses were born. She became a goat. He became a buck. Thus, down to the ants, he created everything in pairs. Verse 8, then he realized, I am the creation, for I have poured all this out from myself. He who knows this becomes the creator in his own world. This world was then unmanifest. He entered into it down to the tips of the fingernails, as a razor is hidden in its case, or as fire is hidden in the wood. He is the breath when breathing. He is speech when speaking. He is the eye when seeing. He who worships him as one of these does not know. He is the self, the place where all these are one. Regarding this, the stories say, I am the real. He who knows this becomes the all. Even the gods cannot prevent him from becoming the all, for he becomes their very self. Canto 4, the food and the spirits. Verse 9, by his knowledge the Father produced 7 foods. 1 is common to all creatures. 2 he gave to the gods, the fire offering and the sacrifice. 3 he kept for himself, the mind, the speech and the breath. 1 he gave to the animals, the milk. Everything that exists, the past, the present and the future, is contained in 3 things, name, form and action. They are the 3 strings of the instrument, but the self is the music. Book 2, the Dialogue of Truths. Canto 1, the Proud Scholar. Verse 1, Gargya, a man of many words and much pride, went to King Ajatashatru and said, Shall I tell you about the real? The king said, For such a word, I give you 1,000 cows, and people will come from far away saying, Here is a Janaka, a king who is generous as a king of Vidha. Verse 2, Gargya said, I worship the person in the sun as the real. The king said, Do not speak to me of him, I know him. He is the high king, the all-surpassing. He who worships him as such becomes a master of the world. Gargya spoke of the moon, the lightning, the space, the wind, and the fire. Each time the king cut him short. I know him as the great. I know him as the end. I know him as the mirror. Verse 3, Gargya fell silent. The scholar was empty. Is that all? Asked the king. That is all, whispered Gargya. Then you do not know the real. Gargya said, Let me be your student, sir. The king replied, It is contrary to the law for a king to teach a priest, but I will make the truth clear to you. Verse 4, the king took Gargya by the hand and led him to a sleeping man. He called out, O High One, O clad in white, O King Soma. The man did not move. Then the king pushed him with his staff and the man woke up. The king asked, When this man was asleep, where was the spirit, and from where has he now returned? Gargya did not know. Verse 5, the king said, When the man sleeps, the spirit gathers the senses into itself. It rests in the heart. As a great king moves through his country with his subjects, so the spirit moves through the body with the breaths. When the man wakes, the spirit flows out through the veins. As a spider moves along its thread, as small sparks fly from a fire, so all the breaths, all the worlds, and all the gods fly forth from the self. His secret name is the truth of the truth. Canto 2, the Bank of the River. Verse 6, the sage Yajnavalkya said to his wife Maitreyi, I am leaving the house, my dear. I am going into the forest to live in the silence. Let me divide my wealth between you and my other wife, Katyayani. Verse 7, Maitreyi looked at the gold and the cattle. Sir, she asked, if the whole earth and all its wealth were mine, would I become immortal? No, said the sage, your life would be like the life of the rich. There is no hope of immortality through gold. Maitreyi said, then what should I do with that which does not make me immortal? Tell me the one thing you know, sir. Verse 8, Yajnavalkya smiled. You have always been dear to me, and now you have spoken words that are dearer still. Sit down, I will teach you. Verse 9, It is not for the sake of the husband that the husband is loved, but for the sake of the self. It is not for the sake of the wife that the wife is loved, but for the sake of the self. It is not for the sake of the sons, the wealth, the gods, or the worlds that they are loved, but for the sake of the self. Verse 10, The self-matri must be seen, must be heard, must be known. As when a drum is beaten, you cannot catch the sounds outside, but by catching the drum, the sound is caught. As when a sea of salt has no inside or outside, but is a mass of saltiness through and through, so the self is a mass of knowledge. He rises from these elements and vanishes into them. When he has gone, there is no more name. Verse 11, Maitreyi was terrified. You have confused me, sir. You say there is no more consciousness. Yajnavalkya said, I do not speak a confusing thing. Where there is a second, one sees another. One hears another. One knows another. But when all has become the self, by what can one see the seer? By what can one know the knower? Canto 3, The Honey of the World. Verse 12, This earth is the honey of all beings are the honey of the earth. The fire is the honey of all are the honey of the fire. The wind, the sun, the space, the moon, they are all honey for each other. The law is honey, the truth is honey. The person who is in the earth and the person who is in the eye, they are one. They are the real, they are the all. Verse 13, As the spokes are fastened to the hub and the rim of a wheel, so all beings, all gods, and all worlds are fastened to this self. The self is the king of all. Book 3, The Debates at the Court. Canto 1, The Tournament. Verse 1, King Janaka of Vaidha performed a great sacrifice. He gathered 1,000 cows in a pen. To the horns of every cow he tied 10 pieces of gold. He said to the gathered sages, Let the wisest among you drive these cows home. The sages were silent. They were afraid of the challenge. Verse 2, Then Yajnavalkya spoke to his student, Samashravas, drive these cows to our house. The sages roared with anger. How dare you claim to be the wisest? Yajnavalkya smiled. I bow to the wisest man, but I am a man who wants the cows. Canto 2, The 8 Inquisitors. Verse 3, The king's priest Ashvala asked, Since everything is gripped by death, how does the sacrificer escape? Yajnavalkya said, Through the Hotri priest, who is the fire, who is speech. Speech is the escape. Speech is the immortality. Verse 4, When the man dies, and his speech enters the fire, and his breath the wind, what remains of the man? Only the work, said Yajnavalkya. A man becomes good through good work, and evil through evil work. Verse 5, Where did the grandchildren of Parikshit go? They went where the performers of the horse sacrifice go, beyond the edge of the world, thin as a razor's edge. Verse 6, Show me the ground of all that is, the one who is visible and not beyond us. He who breathes through your breath, he is the self within. That is just a name, said Ashasta. Show him to me. You cannot see the seer of the seeing, said the sage. You cannot know the knower of the knowing. Verse 7, Then Gargi, the daughter of Vachiknu, stood up. O Yajnavalkya, if the earth is woven on water, on what is the water woven? On the air. On what is the air woven? On the worlds of the sky. Gargi pushed him up through the worlds of the sun, the moon, and the gods. On what are the worlds of the Creator woven? Yajnavalkya roared, Gargi, do not ask too much. Your head will fall off. You are asking about a god who cannot be questioned. Gargi sat down in silence. Verse 8, Udalaka asked, do you know the thread that holds the worlds together? The breath is the thread, said the sage. And do you know the internal ruler, he who dwells in the earth, yet whom the earth does not know? He who pulls the strings from within, he is yourself, he is the immortal. Canto 3, the imperishable. Verse 9, Gargi stood up again. O sages, I will ask him 2 more questions. They are like 2 arrows from the bow of a king. If he answers them, none of you will ever defeat him. Ask Gargi. Verse 10, on what is the world woven, O Yajnavalkya? On the space. And on what is the space woven? Verse 11, Yajnavalkya said, O Gargi, the sages call it the imperishable. It is not coarse, not fine, not short, not long. It has no shadow. It has no taste, no smell, no eyes, no ears. It has no inside and no outside. It eats nothing and nothing eats it. At the command of this imperishable, the sun and moon stand apart. At his command, the minutes and the hours stay in their places. He is the unseen seer. He is the unheard hearer. Across this imperishable, O Gargi, the space itself is woven. Gargi turned to the sages. Bow to him, you will never win. Canto 4, the number of gods. Verse 12, Shakalya asked, how many gods are there, Yajnavalkya? 3,306. Yes, said Shakalya, but how many really? 33. Yes, but how many really? 6, 3, 2, 1.5, 1. Verse 13, who is the one God? The breath, said Yajnavalkya, he is the real, he is the that. Verse 14, Shakalya continued to argue, his heart full of malice. Yajnavalkya asked him a final question about the person of the deepest teaching. Shakalya did not know. As the sage had warned, the man's head fell off. Robbers stole his bones as they were being carried home, mistaking them for treasure. Such is the end of the scholar who mocks the real. Book 4, The Light of the Self. Canto 1, The 6 Pillars. Verse 1, Yajnavalkya came to Janaka, the king of Vaidha. The king thought, I will not let him leave until he tells me everything. The sage said, Your Majesty, what have your other teachers told you about the real? Verse 2, Janaka said, Jitvan told me that speech is the real. Yajnavalkya replied, Speech is a pillar, but it is a one-legged truth. What is the head of that speech? I do not know, said the king. The head is the space. Without the space of the heart, speech is a ghost. And so it is with the others. Udanka said the breath is the real. Baku said the eye is the real. Gardabhivapita said the ear is the real. Satyakama said the mind is the real. Vidagdha said the heart is the real. Verse 3, All these are just the servants of the king, said the sage. They are the windows, not the light. If you worship the window, you will always be a prisoner of the wall. Canto 2, The Light of the Man. Verse 4, The king asked, Yajnavalkya, when the sun has set, what light does a man have? The moon is his light, said the sage. And when the sun and the moon have both set, the fire is his light. And when the fire has gone out, speech is his light. For even in the dark, if a man hears a voice, he moves toward it. Verse 5, But when the sun has set, and the moon has set, and the fire has gone out, and the voice is silent, What light does the man have then? Yajnavalkya said, the self is his light. By the light of the self alone he sits, he moves about, he does his work, and he returns. Verse 6. Who is this self? Asked the king. He is the person among the breaths, made of knowledge, shining like a light within the heart. He remains the same, yet he seems to think, he seems to move. When he sleeps, he transcends this world and the forms of death. Canto 3. The Three States. Verse 7. The person has two states, this world and the other world. Between them is a third state, the state of dreaming sleep. Standing on that bridge, he sees both the grief of this world and the joy of the other. Verse 8. In the dream there are no chariots, no horses, no roads, but the self creates chariots, horses, and roads. There are no blessings, no pools, no rivers, but the self creates blessings, pools, and rivers, for he is the maker. He moves through the dream country like a lonely golden bird, leaving the body behind, protected by the breath. Verse 9. As a great fish swims between the two banks of a river, touching now this side and now that, so the self moves between the dream and the waking. And as a hawk, weary from flying, folds its wings and drops into its nest, so the self hastens to that state of deep sleep, where he desires no desire and sees no dream. Verse 10. In that state the father is no father, the mother is no mother, the thief is no thief, the monk is no monk, he is not followed by good, he is not followed by evil, he has crossed beyond all the sorrows of the heart. Canto 4. The Great Release. Verse 11. When the body grows weak and the man is about to die, the breaths gather around the self. The person in the eye turns away. The relatives say, he does not see, he does not smell, he does not speak. The tip of the heart begins to glow. By that light the self departs. Verse 12. As a caterpillar, reaching the end of a blade of grass, draws itself together to take a new hold, so the self, having cast off the old body, reaches out for a new one. As a goldsmith takes a piece of gold and hammers it into a new shape, so the self creates for itself a new form, whether of the fathers or the spirits or the gods. Verse 13. But what of the man who has no desire, he who loves only the self? His breaths do not depart. Being the real, he is merged into the real. When all the desires that dwell in the heart are cast away, then the mortal becomes immortal. He becomes the king. Verse 14. As the slough of a snake lies dead on an anthill, so lies the body. But the bodiless, immortal life is the real. It is the light. I have found the ancient path that leads to the shore. By this path, the wise go to the high world of heaven and are released forever. Verse 15. The king, trembling with the weight of the truth, said, I give you the empire of Vidha, sir, and I give myself as your servant. I have seen the light. Book 5. The Cosmic Syllable. Canto 1. The Syllable of the Sky. Verse 1. Om. The real is calm, the infinite sky space. Calm is ancient, calm is the breath. The old formula says, Om Calm Brahma, the syllable, the sky space, and the real, all one. The old stories say that is the infinite. This is the infinite. From the infinite is born. If you take the infinite from the infinite, only the infinite remains. Calm is the name the ancient teachers kept as a marker. a reminder that the boundless space within the heart and the boundless sky above are not two different things, but one unbroken fact. Shankara, who later sat with this text the way a jeweler sits with a stone he already knows is a diamond treated calm with great care, reading it as the precise technical name for that open, undivided awareness which is also the real. It is not a decoration. It is the teaching itself, compressed to a syllable. Canto 2, The Three Voices of the Thunder. Verse 2, the three children of the first father, the spirits, the men and the goblins, all lived as students in the house of their father. When the time was up, they asked for a final word. Verse 3, the spirits asked, Sir, teach us. The father spoke a single syllable, da. He asked, do you understand? The spirits said, we do. You told us, control yourselves. For the spirits are wild and drunk with power. They need the bit and the bridle. Yes, said the father, you have understood. Verse 4, the men asked, Sir, teach us. The father spoke the same syllable, da. Do you understand? The men said, we do. You told us, give. For men are greedy and cling to their gold. They need to open their hands. Yes, said the father, you have understood. Verse 5, the goblins asked, Sir, teach us. The father spoke the same syllable, da. Do you understand? The goblins said, we do. You told us, be compassionate. For the goblins are cruel and find joy in the pain of others. They need a heart of flesh. Yes, said the father, you have understood. Verse 6, even today the divine voice of the thunder repeats that same word in the sky, da, 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 control yourself, give, be compassionate. This is the law of the three worlds. Canto 3, the heart of the real. Verse 7, the heart is the real. The word for heart in the old tongue has three parts. The world brings its gifts to the heart gives back to the world, and the heart is the one who moves into the light. He who knows the secret of the heart's name becomes the master of his own kingdom. Verse 8, in the beginning this world was only water. The water produced the real produced the Creator produced the spirits. Truth is a word of three syllables. Two of them are truth. One of them is the untruth, the lie sandwiched in the middle. Truth conquers the lie. Truth is the person who sits in the golden sun and in the pupil of the eye. Canto 4, the passage of the sun. Verse 9, when the wanderer departs from this world, he reaches the wind. The wind opens a path for him as small as a chariot wheel. He climbs through, he reaches the sun. The sun opens a path for him as small as a drum. He climbs through, he reaches the moon. The moon opens a path for him as small as a pipe. He climbs through, he reaches the world that has no sorrow. There he stays for eternal ages. Verse 10, the old stories say, this is the highest penance to be sick. This is the highest penance to be carried to the grave. This is the highest penance to be laid upon the fire. For the sage, the sickness is the initiation. The fire is the final bath. He does not fear the heat, for he has already become the fire. Canto 5, the Gayatri. Verse 11, the Gayatri song has 4 feet. The first foot is the 3 worlds, earth, sky, heaven. The second foot is the 3 knowledges. The third foot is the 3 breaths, the upward, the downward, and the pervasive. The fourth foot is the radiant person who shines above the world. Everything that exists is held in the grip of this song. Verse 12, O sun, O nourisher, O lonely traveler, the face of the truth is hidden behind a mask of gold. Push aside the brilliance. I want to see the face of the real. O fire, you know all my turnings and my tricks. Lead me by the good path to the shore. I offer you my deepest bow. Again and again I bow. Book 6, The Final Womb. Canto 1, the first among many. Verse 1, He who knows the ancient and the best becomes the ancient and the best among his own people. The breath is the ancient and the best. He who knows the excellence becomes excellent. Speech is excellence. He who knows the firm foundation stands firm. The eye is the foundation. Verse 2, the senses once fought over who was the king of the body. They went to the Creator and asked, Who is the best among us? The Creator said, The one whose departure makes the body fall into ruin, that one is the best. Verse 3, speech left for a year. It returned and asked, How did you live without me? The others said, Like the mute, not speaking but breathing with the breath, seeing with the eye and hearing with the ear. The eye left, they lived like the blind. The ear left, they lived like the deaf. The mind left, they lived like children. The seed left, they lived like the barren. Verse 4, then the breath made as if to depart. As a great horse of the Indus, when he is provoked, pulls up the pegs of his tethering ropes, so the breath pulled up all the other senses. They were shattered. Their roots were torn. Stop, sir, they cried, do not leave. You are our king. We are only your servants. Everything that is eaten in the world is the breath's food. Everything that is seen is the breath's light. Canto 2, the path of the two ways. Verse 5, the boy Sh Vetiketu went to the court of Prince Pravahana Javali. The prince asked him, Do you know how these creatures, when they depart, go in different directions? Do you know how they return to this world? Do you know why the world above is never full? The boy did not know. He returned to his father, the sage Adalaka Aruni, and told him what the prince had asked. The father did not know either. So the sage himself came to Prince Pravahana, who received him with honor. But when Adalaka asked to be taught, the prince reminded him gently that this knowledge had always been kept among warriors. It had never reached the priestly families before. He was the first Brahmin to receive it, and yet the prince relented, and he taught it to Adalaka just as he had taught it to Sh Vetiketu, because the question had been asked, and the time had come for the teaching to cross that old border. Verse 6, the prince taught the sage the secret of the 5 fires. The world above is the first fire, the sun is its fuel. From this offering the king of the moon is born. The cloud spirit is the second fire, the year is its fuel. From this the rain is born. The earth is the third fire, time is its fuel. From this food is born, the man is the 4th fire, speech is his fuel. From this the seed is born, the woman is the 5th fire, the womb is the fuel. From this the child is born. Verse 7, those who know this truth, the waking ones, they go to the light, from the light to the day, from the day to the sun. They reach the world of the real and never return. But those who only do good deeds for a name, they go to the moon. They stay until their merit is spent. Then they fall as rain. They become food. They are eaten by a man and sown as seed. They go round and round like a bucket in a well. Canto 3, the ritual of the seed. Verse 8, he who desires a son or wealth or greatness performs the rite of the churning. He gathers the herbs and the butter and the honey, and at the moment of the oblation he speaks his own name and the names of his fathers, calling each by his lineage, his clan, his star. He offers into the fire, saying, I am the breath, I am the earth, I am the sky. Let the light come into me. Let the strength come into me. Let all the merit of this world flow into me like rivers into the sea. Verse 9. Look at the earth. The earth is the essence of all beings. The water is the essence of the earth. The plants are the essence of the water. The man is the essence of the plants. The seed is the essence of the man. He who knows this takes the merit of all the sacrifices into his own house. Verse 10. If a man desires a son who is a scholar, let them eat rice with meat. If he desires a daughter who is wise, let them eat rice with grain. At the moment of birth, the father whispers into the child's ear, "You are the breath. You are the Veda. Live for 100 autumns." The child is the father born again. The chain of life is the chain of the real. Canto 4. The Great Lineage. Verse 11. Now follows the line of the teachers. Portimachia received it from Gorpavana, Gorpavana from Portimachia, Portimachia from Gorpavana, Gorpavana from Corsica, Corsica from Corndinia, Corndinia from Sandilia, Sandilia from Corsica and Gautama, Gautama from Agnivesia, Agnivesia from Gargia, Gargia from Gargia, Gargia from Sayajna, Sayajna from Parashariana, Parashariana from Jatyukanya, Jatyukanya from Asurayana and Yaska, Asurayana from Trevani, Trevani from Orpajandhani, Orpajandhani from Asuri, Asuri from Bharadvaja, Bharadvaja from Bharadvaja and Gautama, Gautama from Bharadvaja, Bharadvaja from Parashariana, Parashariana from Vajavapayana, Vajavapayana from Corsikayani, Corsikayani from Jihrit Corsica, Jihrit Corsica from Parashariana, Parashariana from Parasharya, Parasharya from Jatyukanya, Jatyukanya from Asurayana and Yaska, Asurayana from Trevani, Trevani from Orpajandhani, Orpajandhani from Asuri, Asuri from Bharadvaja, Bharadvaja from Atraya, Atraya from Manti, Manti from Gautama, Gautama from Gautama, Gautama from Vatsya, Vatsya from Sandilia, Sandilia from Kaishurya Kapya, Kaishurya Kapya from Kumaraharita, Kumaraharita from Galava, Galava from Vidabhikandinya, Vidabhikandinya from Vatsanapat Babhrava, Vatsanapat Babhrava from Pasin Sorbhara, Pasin Sorbhara from Ayasyangarasa, Ayasyangarasa from Abhuti Tivashtra, Abhuti Tivashtra from Vishvarupa Tivashtra, Vishvarupa Tivashtra from the two Ashvins from Dadyachatharvana, Dadyachatharvana from Atharvandeva, Atharvandeva from Emrityu Pradvamsana, Emrityu Pradvamsana from Pradvamsana, Pradvamsana from Ekashi, Ekashi from Viprachiti, Viprachiti from Vyashti, Vyashti from Sanaru, Sanaru from Sanatana, Sanatana from Sanaga, Sanaga from Paramesthin, Paramesthin from the Creator. The Creator received it from no one, he is the self-born, homage to the Creator. And so the names go back, father to son, master to pupil, an unbroken river running all the way to the Creator himself. Verse 12. The real is the root, the real is the teacher, the real is the student. Everything in this great forest, the horse, the fire, the debates, the love and the birth, is only the real, dreaming that it is many. I am the real. Peace, peace, peace.